Okay, so possibly for the last time this year and the last time for a while, I want to point out again what stops do for you folks. Now, you've been following along, or if you've been following along, you know we employ stops down here at Koyas. It's not even an extremely sophisticated stop and get back in process. It's actually very simple, which is why there is no reason to ever not employ stops. Mike Norman has got it completely wrong. 40 years in the business, so he claims, and it looks like it's closer to 4 days. The guy is pathetic. I have never seen a guy in the investment arena be so collectively wrong about just about everything than Mike Norman. A guy that claims he knows what's going on, mocking everyone else for everything they do, and yet the reality is he has never been able to show you a damn thing and support any of his nonsense claims. So what you're looking at here is, since April 2021, just so I can zoom in, the portfolio that we run down at Koyas without stops, and the red one is the one with stops. You could tell that because we're stopped for long periods of time, whereas the market continues to go down and we just stay out. And you can see long periods of time because when you're looking at it from this level, which has got to be at least 20,000 feet, you're going to see that these are lengthy period of stop out times. We just cease to be in the market. Now, it is true you'll never catch the bottom this way, but it doesn't matter. It's a fallacy. It's as much of a fallacy of needing to catch the bottom as it is Mike Norman telling you it's not worthwhile stopping out. Well, of course it is. You make more money on the way up and you lose less on the way down. This is exactly what has happened if you're looking at the portfolio without stops or with stops. It prevents a lot of whipsawing, a lot of deep drawdowns. It does not mean you don't lose. There's not a person in the market in 2022 that is up this year. It's just not possible. And having a good process doesn't mean you never lose. That too is a fallacy. And by the way, that's why people have got themselves so twisted up in knots to the point where they can't even follow a basic algorithm, a process that they know is good. Even when you know this stuff, like I do because I built these things, even that still gives you the butterflies. So guys like Mike Norman have no chance. Most of the investing public has no chance of ever wrapping their head around something intelligent, something better than a buy and hold. Because sometimes processes, such as the one you're looking at here, they do worse when the market is going down than an average buy and hold. But it's more than made up for with everything else that's going on, and the market goes up more than it goes down, despite the fact that that's not the case this year. Over the long haul, it does, and that's where these processes really pay off. So what you're looking at here in the background, and by the way, I have to roll this bad boy today and tomorrow, is the December contract of the NASDAQ. So this is an example, a real life example of buy and hold with just stops. So this isn't part of my algorithm, but you're free to buy and stop out and buy and stop out and buy and stop out. We go back this far? Yeah, we can take a look at some of these things here. You're free to do such things. Now, my Patreon members know starting July and August, given how the year had played out to that point, knew full well I suggested the most likely scenario that would play out is we would bottom out in the last couple weeks of September, and from there we would head higher. Well, that has more or less taken place. We look at the ES, the NASDAQ, and the Russell. Two of those three did bottom in September, I believe. The one took a little bit more of a sidestep, maybe an intraday lower low in the first week or so of October. So generally correct, not exactly correct, depending on the index we were looking at. So what you're looking at here is a position that we have, if you're a buy and holder, simply using stops. And again, this is outside the algorithm, but I'm simply pointing out to people that if you employ stops, folks, if you're diligent about it and you're willing to get back in and you're pulling stops, this is what I call falling down the stairs, hitting the frickin' wall for about 8 stories. Okay? This is not painful, and this isn't as good as what it looks because this position here that you're seeing is part of my entire NASDAQ position. I've already got some March stuff. So these little December guys are going to go and join the March stuff. My net position is not down at 11,020. That's just the net position of the last position I took. What this took was falling down 8 floors of stairs, bouncing off the wall. Battered and beaten, but persistent. You're going to find that bottom. And then when you do it, ride this home. I'm going to continue to ride this thing for who knows freaking how long. Why would I sell this thing now? What would be the point? We've seen the worst so far, and I can always stop this thing out again. But the point is, this is not the Mike Norman approach, folks. What did Mike Norman do for these 8 stories? He opened the elevator door, made sure the elevator was well above the 8 stories, and then he took a giant freaking leap. 8 stories straight down, splat on the bottom. That's what Mike Norman does. This is a far more intelligent way to roll. And this isn't even my algo, folks. This is just me pointing out that you can do intelligent things and not just fly the algo. The algo is going to be better. It's just not better than this position right now. But this position isn't even what it looks like, because there was a lot of purchasing, stopping out for losses, purchasing, stopping out for losses, and then you finally get the bottom, or at least what looks like the bottom. I suspect it is the bottom. This position was traded based off what I actually believed and what I actually told my subscribers back in July and August, and we followed it up in September. We followed it up in October. Well, listen, you're looking here, if you look on the time scale, this is the 11th of November. The last time I did anything with this trade evidently was the 15th of November. And the rest, as they say, is history. Why would I stop this thing out? There's no reason to at this point. Mike Norman says, it's cute that you say, let your winners run and stop your losers. And he claims that, how are you going to know? Mike, you don't know. The problem is, you actually think you know. That's the problem, Mike. The rest of us intelligent, actual seasoned traders know we can't know. So all we do is employ good practices and it will work out. Unlike the dumb shit you do, Mike. The childish nonsense, Mike. So folks, stops work. This is the algo. If you're a buy and holder, stops still work, because you will find a market bottom and you just buy it and you can keep loading at this point. Because this is so far above my current cost, why would I sell it? Why wouldn't I, at opportune times, add a little bit more? I've got the March stuff. My December little cowboys here are going to catch the March cowboys, and we're going to ride this thing into who knows how far. Why would I sell it? New NASDAQ highs. That's what I'll eventually ride this thing into. That's the most likely scenario. Could we turn around and break September's lows? Yes, we could. And we'll stop out with a gain on this position. Folks, there is 1,000 different solid ways to even be a buy and holder with some intelligence and put a stop in and have some process for that stop out and a re-entry. And you're going to have to re-enter when it's higher. And that is how you have to do it. And what I mean by that is there are going to be many times when you re-enter higher than what you stopped out. And that's where clowns like Mike Norman thinks it's a complete failure, when I've shown repeatedly that that actually works far more often than not. And you just dodge swaths of downside. I prove it for real in accounts that my Patreon members can see. The only question that remains unanswered is, when are people going to start waking up, clicking this join button, and literally getting it handed to you on a platter? I cannot say for sure because I do not know. But given the action of 2022, and given the process, and given the performance of my algo for over a decade, there is a high degree of probability that we are going to massively outperform in 2023. People, do yourself a favor. Join in. It is never too late.